Yeah, that's right. I see the chat. I see y'all rocking. I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button. Show your love. Show your support. You know what I'm saying? This that dope soul. This that new thing. Nobody don't know about it.
Hello, Knick family. Welcome to the Just Knickin' It Weekly Show. I'm your host, Stephanie, a.k.a. Queen. We got Jerrell, Die Hard Giants Podcast Live, Ajay the Villain, Geoff Klafter, Happily Ever Klafter Daily Sports Blog. How's everybody doing?
Great.
All right. Salute, Steph, Geoff, Ajay, the chat. Salute to everybody.
All right. Salute to the chat on Deals NYK in the building early. Appreciate you, JJ, David G, Wonder Woman. Oh, yeah. All right, let's get to it. Let's talk about this past week. Let's start there. We'll talk about the OKC game as well. We'll talk about the bench. That seems to be the topic, and the rotation minutes. They kind of go hand in hand. So we'll circle that wagon for the 15th time in the past week or so. But let's just talk about the Knicks this past week. The 9-game winning streak, then the 3-game losing streak. It started with OKC. Then who was it after?
Chicago.
Third
quarter of doom in Chicago.
Orlando.
And we was able to get that one against OKC. What are you seeing over the past week or so? Are you concerned about the Knicks? Do you feel like this is just part of the process of them growing into a championship team? Jerrell, Ajay, Geoff, and then Geoff, you started off the next time.
All right. I still think that it's the process, but I know I'm up here sounding like a broken record, but it really is a process. Like, I don't know how else to say it. It's going to be, peaks and valleys to the season. I know we should probably be worried about the bench a little bit. I think we still do need another piece. We'll talk about trades later, I guess. But yeah, man, it's just peaks and valleys. There's nothing really else to say. Like, we was on a 9-gamer, then we was on a 3-game losing streak, and luckily we won last night, or this show would have been very, very interesting. But yeah, I think it's just the ebbs and flows of the season.
Do you think the Knicks are not gritty enough? Because that was just something that came up in I forgot what game I was I was watching.
Maybe Orlando? To me, it seemed like Orlando just outworked us. We didn't have no energy in that game at all. They shouldn't have been on the floor with us. Like, the starting five that they pulled out, or the players that they pulled out, period, compared to ours that game, we should have won that game. That was a very, very bad loss. We didn't have any energy at all. So maybe it was that game. It seemed like they was just pushing us around. They looked way more athletic. They look longer. They look bigger. They just look like, a team of no names that you don't know, but we got our butts kicked that night.
They just gave it to us. And I get it. We didn't have Towns, but they didn't have seemed like they didn't have their starting lineup.
Right. I think they had one starter.
Yeah. Yeah. The Orlando game was, just that opportunity to get back on track after the OKC game.
Right.
And shout out to Orlando, how they've been, despite the injuries, they come to play every single night. No easy games. And it kind of reminds me of another iteration of the Knicks, just how we would just show up regardless. One play, like true next man up, not next man up, but like really next man up. And I'm going to step in here and I'm going to do it and we're going to do it.
Right.
I don't really see that in this team. I don't think this team is soft by any stretch. That's not what I'm saying. But I just don't see that we out here to get every game. If we got to pull somebody from the coaching staff, we out here to get every game.
Right.
I just don't get that feeling from this team.
We don't got the right pieces. I think it's the bench, to be honest.
Yeah, somebody in the chat said the bench and the 3-point shooting.
Oh yeah, the 3-point shooting. Yeah, we'll talk about that too.
We shooting like what is it, like 30% or something over the past. I have to check my phone, but not well. Put it that way. Ajay, what are you seeing from the team after that 9-game win streak?
Wow. You know, at some points in the game, you could tell the guys are tired. And I think I want to say KCP, you know, after the Orlando game, he pretty much put it out there. He says, we know how this team is. You know, if you played him physical the first half, by the third quarter, because of their minutes, you know, you're going to have a little edge on them because they don't play a lot. You know, they don't play a deep rotation. You know, that he actually said that. He says that's the strategy going into playing the Knicks. You know, you play some of your bench guys, you know, just be aggressive with them and then, you know, tire them up for the first 2-3 quarters. And then by the fourth quarter, you'll have like a little edge. You'll have a chance to win every game with them, no matter how much, like how many points they're up on you. And you know, it showed. And I'm not saying this to say, like, you know, I'm sure we're gonna talk about minutes distribution and, you know, the bench and you know, Tibbs rotation or whatever, but the word is out, man. This is how teams are you know, this is what the scouting report's saying about the Knicks. You know, play them tough for the first 2-3 quarters, and by the fourth quarter, you're gonna have a chance. And there are a lot of games. You look back, there's a lot of games we just didn't have anything left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the alternative is.
Right. So, and that's what we'll talk about later on. But, you know, it's just a, you know, it's a tough situation to be in, you know. But I mean, after that 9-game winning streak, like it would have been it would have been a good game to, you know, we had the OKC game. I mean, we had that game. We had it. We played a very good game. We played an excellent game. Unfortunately, we just couldn't go all the way to the end and come out with the dub. But yeah, that would have been good. I would have preferred we snapped their winning streak instead of Cleveland doing it yesterday. So
yeah. Geoff, what have you've been seeing over the past 4 games?
You know, I want to answer that, but you posed a question, or you said something that sparked a thought in my mind, and it may not be the right one, but what I'm thinking too is when you have a defensive identity like Orlando does, like Orlando's entire team is built on defense, and so there's a certain standard of defense every night, and so that is a baseline for them. And whether your shot is falling or it's not falling, you're playing that hard-nosed defense, and it can keep you in ball games.
Right.
Well, we don't have that kind of a team makeup right now, and so our strength really is built around our offense. And when you're not shooting the ball well, you don't really have anything else to fall back on, and then you can kind of have these nights where you're, you know, when you go 4 for 22 from 3, and you don't have Karl Anthony Towns, and Jalen's not having an efficient night from the field, and neither is Bridges, and then you don't have anything else to fall back on. And so I think that may be a little bit of what we're experiencing right now. I think there are some other issues at play, but I think that when you're a defense first, I'm not saying that you have to be a defensive first team to win the championship. I'm just saying that when you have a defense first personality, I think that it's easier for you to have that consistent baseline every single night, because you're going to make it tough on everybody when you go out there and just guard the heck out of people.
Yeah, I mean, the Knicks made certain choices, Geoff. One of them was trading depth, right, for a top-heavy team. And another one was trading off some of their defense for, you know, offense. And we'll see. We'll see where it gets us. I personally don't think the volume game we was playing last year, I just don't think that's enough to win a championship. That's just my personal feeling. I just feel like you got to be able to shoot the basketball. You can't just depend on volume and offensive rebounds all the way to a championship, right? And the Knicks got as much as they could out of that type of play. But this is proven to be a challenge as well. I guess with this particular mix, what I will say is that unlike Boston, Cleveland, in my opinion, the Knicks are in the early part of their window. Like this team was just put together. And I know, others will be like, oh, this core has been together but what core? Other than Brunson, what's the core that's been together? So, I think Geoff, you alluded to this, I think when we were talking last week about trades. The Knicks are going to assess this season. Like their window is small. They don't have a tight window. They have a pretty large window. They're going to assess, what they can get out of this team. And probably the bigger changes will probably be made in the offseason. As much as I think they need help, I'm not sure how much they're going to do at the trade deadline. They may just allow this to kind of play itself out, see how far they can get, assess the team, and make any changes they feel that needs to be made in the offseason. We shall see. But Geoff, did you want to continue about in terms of what you've seen in the past?
I was really disappointed in the Orlando game. The Chicago game I kind of felt like was a trap. The second game of the back-to-back is always tough, and I just thought we played fine, and in the third quarter our legs were just gone, and they just they got hot. I think they made like 17 of 22 from the field or something like that. And our defense certainly had something to do with that. But, if Kobe White is going to go 9 of 11 from 3, sometimes you just tip your cap and you move on. But then, to have such a talent advantage and not take advantage of it at home, it really felt like it used to be. It's funny because it used to be after a long road trip, like the Knicks of the early 2000s, I was like, we always lose that first game after a long road trip because they're too comfortable sleeping in their own beds and they're not focused and they just didn't matter who they were playing. It seemed like they always lost that first home game after being on the road for an extended period of time. And that loss felt a lot like that. And that's not been a Tom Thibodeau trait. Normally we've been take every game seriously and I don't know that they didn't take it seriously, but certainly they seemed out of sorts without Karl Anthony on the floor. And I don't know. And I mean, for obvious reasons, the guy's playing at an MVP level. I mean, he's really been astounding, and we can talk about that more later. But they clearly were not ready to be playing without him, and especially against a team with a lot of length and size, which is what Orlando is.
But I guess this is where I feel like the Knicks don't have that dig downness. You know what I mean? Like they don't have that grind it out, dig down. And Josh Hart alluded to that, or basically said that in one of his statements. He said, everybody is hyped up when we're scoring, but when the basket is not going in, what are we doing then? And I just feel like this team just doesn't. Not together. So, for example, I think it was the Orlando game that's when Karl Anthony Towns had 20-something points in the fourth quarter, right? Was that Chicago?
Chicago.
Right. You could see him like digging down, like trying to do what he can to get that game. And then there'll be other games where you'll see Josh Hart flying around doing what he can. But collectively as a team, it's been far and few between, I should say, of everybody just grinding out. The shot's not falling. We got to find another way to do it. I just don't see that. And I don't know if that's just they need to develop that or they just not them dudes. That's just not, who they are.
I think it comes back to be the ability to get stops, though. You know what I mean? To just put an end to a run. I think a lot of times we don't have that, like that just defensive identity, like just to get 1, 2, 3 stops in a row and just kind of like settle things, even if you're not scoring necessarily, just to kind of have that, okay, we're getting some stops, then, you know, the shots will start to fall and so forth. And we just don't, you know, we just can't consistently get stops on that end of the floor right now. So when we're not going well on offense, it can get bad in a hurry. And what I noticed in the Chicago game, it seemed like we weren't getting calls on the one end, and we were complaining to the officials, and they were running a fast break on the other end and getting a wide open shot. And you know, and that's focus, and those are the sorts of things that can be frustrating too. But you know, look, 38 games, we're 25-13. We're on pace for a 50+ win season. You know, I think this next 10 days is going to tell us a lot about our team, because the schedule does get a little bit tougher. So I'm intrigued to find out. You know, hopefully we're healthy enough to get through it, especially with Towns' knee. That seems to be a recurring theme. But yeah, I think we'll find out a lot about this team in the next week or so.
Yeah, for sure. As far as defensive stops, how much of that is we just don't have those type of players, and how much of it is going to be finding a better mix of players? Or do you feel like, and this is for Jerrell and Ajay too, do you feel like this team can do that? Like this team can get stops when needed?
I don't know. I think it's,
go ahead.
I'll go real quick. I just think it's kind of hard. I think it's personnel. Like two of your best players in your start five are the worst defenders on the team. So it's kind of hard to say if you know, who's going to get that stop. It'll have to be OG, and, you know, OG is an excellent defender, or it'll have to be Bridges. So, you know, I could see some, you know, Cat doing dumb fouls in the fourth quarter. I could see, you know, Jalen Brunson being taken advantage of in the fourth quarter. I'm talking about like in the playoffs during a 7-game series.
Right.
I don't see, like, we need some more guys that actually know how to play defense, because if we're going to rely on them two, yeah, I think it's going to, you know, be an uphill battle.
I don't even know how do you get around it? I mean, how do you get around it by putting, you know, good defenders around them, and the Knicks have,
Right.
you know, like, what's the, you know, what would be an upgrade you think that could help them defensively?
Just McBride coming back would help.
It would definitely would, but Deuce has been on this team too.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know. I'm thinking maybe like if we do make a move, it had to be like a move for a starter and put Josh Hart on the bench for me. That's the only way I think. Like, I'm just thinking about it in like the fourth quarter on the 7-game series in the playoffs. You got to think about who's going to be on the court, and Cat and Jalen Brunson have to be on the court. So the 3 players that's going to be with them is most likely going to be Bridges, OG, and it's going to be either Hart or somebody else. I think it depends on who that somebody else is, that 5th person.
If it's not Hart, we must be bringing in a significant upgrade. If
Right.
that person is going to close the game over, if that player is going to close the game over Hart.
Or maybe not a significant upgrade in the terms of all-around player, maybe some type of defensive specialist that's not really, you know, a huge upgrade, but on that side of the floor, it is a huge upgrade. You know what I mean? Like some type of specialist that can come off the bench, like a wing, another wing, or a 4, a power forward.
Yeah. And this is where I think it's going to be a challenge for the Knicks, to find somebody that upgrades your defense and doesn't downgrade your offense.
Exactly.
I think what Josh Hart is another playmaker in that starting lineup. He actually creates shots for others. And so whoever you're bringing in, you know, I mean, he doesn't have to do what Josh Hart does, but if you're going to replace Josh Hart, I guess Bridges is going to have to play that, play that role. right? It has to be the reason why the Knicks defense is good, and it's not just that you could play 5 out, because you could play 5 out with shooters.
Mhm.
But I think what makes them so dangerous is that they're not just shooters, and I'm including Josh Hart because he's shooting well this year.
Mhm.
All 5 of them can drive, pass, and shoot.
Mhm.
That's what makes them more dynamic. It's not just this guy can hit the 3. No. He can hit the 3, he can drive, he can pass, he can attack the closeout, draw a defense, hit somebody else. That's what makes the offense so dynamic. And when you take Josh Hart out, you better be putting somebody in there that can either give you something similar or the trade-off is worth it. I'll put it that way.
Tough to replace Hart when he's putting up Jaylen Brown levels of stats, or better than Jaylen Brown levels of stats, everything but scoring.
Right.
Like, Josh Hart has been fantastic borderline all-star fantastic for the Knicks this year. I mean, I personally don't see the, take Josh Hart out of the lineup being an answer. I actually think Josh Hart is in a lot of ways is the perfect connector for the other guys that we have out on the floor, because he's the one. They're not doubling off him because he's got the ball in space and he's attacking, and everybody else is a deadly shooter out there, and I think that unlocks our offense in an impressive way. I mean, and I think that's why you're seeing all those triple doubles out of him. I mean, the only question about him with the triple doubles, is he going to get to 10 points? You kind of expect that he's going to get the rebounds and the assists at this point, but he is our second best rebounder too. So taking him out of the lineup, you're going to have somebody who can crash the boards at an elite level, because Josh Hart is the best rebounding guard in the league and is one of the better rebounders in the league, period.
Yeah, he is. He's having a phenomenal season. And the way he's shooting the 3 ball. What's his volume? Because I think the volume is important as well. Because when you think about when you get into the playoffs, even if he's shooting 42%, if you're only taking 2, they may still decide to play off of you. Like, well, even if he hits both of them, it's not going to really hurt us. So I'm not sure what his volume is. But that's going to be important for him as well, not just the percentage, the volume, so that they really respect him.
He's at almost 4 a game, 3-pointers, 3.6.
I mean, yeah, that's that's decent. I would like to see the Knicks volume overall go up. Good shots, of course, and Cat's threes go up as well.
Yeah, that's weird too. It seems like lately Cat has been taking less threes, and I don't know why. It's kind of weird.
I kind of feel like he takes the threes that he expects to make. I don't think he's just going to launch just to launch. I think, if it's a good shot and it's in rhythm and it's in his zone, he's just going to let it fly. But if it's not, I don't see a lot of heat check threes kind of from him.
Oh,
he
no.
just, he just kind of knows like when in the flow of the offense, it's the right time for him to shoot those. And I think he was 3 for 3 the other night against Toronto. So I think he's choosing well when to go in each direction. I mean, he's 9 of 14 for 27 points. And that felt like a light game from him. That was light work. Like, we're used to 30 and 20 now. We're getting so spoiled with how he's been playing.
And he shows you something different. Like, he drove to the basket and pulled up like for a mid-range. I said, my goodness, like a mid-range shot. He's like, he has the entire package on the offensive end.
Yep.
And he doesn't force it at all.
His bag deep.
Yeah, he doesn't force it at all.
So this season, what is he shooting from 3? Like 45%?
Yeah, he might need to take a few more. I mean,
listen, if I'm the coach, I'm gonna tell him, dude, listen, minimum 7 threes a game. Okay.
Wow.
I listen, minimum 7 at 45%. You 3 of those, you good. All right.
He shoots 5 a game.
he needs to shoot. Like, there's one game he shot none. I can't remember which game. Maybe Chicago. He shot 0.
But to be honest, been his game for the last like 5 seasons. Though he shoots like around 5 a game.
He needs to take a couple more. He needs to shoot 7 a game.
And let Ajay tell it. Cut down on them drives and take take a few.
You see them knees issues. It's too many drives, right? Less pressure on the knees when you just stand there at the 3-point line and there's no pressure on the knees at all.
Yeah. What do you think about him playing yesterday? Like when he was wincing the first few minutes on the court, I was like, maybe he should have sat out. This game. What was your thoughts on him playing? Yes, and we needed him.
Well, at least, people can't call him soft because of that. He obviously plays through injury, so at least he got that for him. But yeah, maybe he shouldn't have played that game. But of course, we needed him, or we would have probably lost.
He's a big part of what we do. Like, I mean, it's just his presence. Like I was saying, okay, you're going to be in the game, be more of a decoy. He was playing like he, taking it to the basket, like driving, like doing things like he was 100%. But he just opens up so much for our offense. Not even just him scoring. It's just what he does for everyone else. Yeah.
I didn't want the only issue, like I didn't want to see him play at all yesterday. I wanted to see him in street clothes, right? And Queen, I text you that, like while I was like, well, why is Cat even in starting lineup? The only reason why I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's have him in starting lineup, because if he didn't start, guess what? Jericho Sims would have started, and yes, we probably would have lost the game.
So wait, so did you want him to play or sit out because of tomorrow's game, or just
yes, because of tomorrow's game. Okay, yes, I got you. But I didn't want Jericho Sims to start either, so that's the dilemma.
Yeah, shout out to JJ. He said the way Brunson and Bridges shot last night, we might have lost. I mean, some of this losing, we could talk about injuries. We could talk not injuries, excuse me. We could talk about minutes, but the Knicks are not shooting the ball well.
Right, that's true.
And to Jeff's point, it's not like we're a lockdown defensive team that has something else to fall back on. If we're not shooting well, and the Knicks are not, Brunson is not shooting well, Bridges I don't think is shooting well, the team as a whole is not shooting well from 3, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not defending, or you're not a good defensive team, it's going to be hard to win games.
Yeah, one of them games, I thought OG was asleep. I forgot what he was doing. I forgot what game it was. Hey, where the hell is
Orlando?
Yeah, Orlando.
He was
okay,
asleep the whole Magic game for sure.
I was like, what is he doing? Like he looked awful that game. But it is what it is. Players have games like that, but you just can't have them like 2 and 3 times in a row. Like that's when it looks bad.
And can we get a game? Can we please get a game where OG and Mikal have a good game at the same time?
At the same time. Like they don't
it
like
seemed
each
like
other.
when OG goes off for 27, Mikal is 4 for 18. When Mikal's got it going, OG's in the back taking a nap or eating a hot dog or something. Like, can we please have a little bit of synergy and get those 2 wings on the same page?
Yeah. Anything from the chat, Ajay, before we
Queen, we gotta clean.
You need more time?
No, I don't need more time, but I just realized from the previous show you had stuff.
Oh yeah, it's the same link, so it's stuff from the previous show. You gotta
let me see where we started here.
Yeah, well, go ahead. You could clean it up while we continue.
Okay.
This might be the Knicks for the rest of the season. We go as the offense goes, and on the days when we're not shooting well, it's going to be a wrap. That might just be where we are for now.
I think this year, I don't think we're going to make a move at all. So I think it is what it is.
Moves that can be made. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see the cap or no cap with Jeremy Cohen on KFS. There's not a lot of options out there, even if we did want to make a deal. I think the best thing he could come up with was getting Alec Burks back from Miami.
Right.
unironically so, but I'm not saying that's it. But that was just like there's not a lot of moves based on the salary we have to move out and the players who are available. There's not a lot of good choices for moves that we make.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. I know I've seen some in the chat saying, championship or bust, or we need to get past last season. I'm not sure this team. So basically, you either beating Boston or you beating Cleveland,
right,
to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. And right now, both of those teams are better than the Knicks. I'm not saying that the Knicks can't become better as the season goes along, but on the one hand, we can't be like, this team is not a championship contender. And then on the other hand, but they need to move. They need to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. How?
No.
You're going to have to beat a Boston or a Cleveland to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. And right now, again, things can change. The Knicks are not as good as those two teams right now.
Queen, are we even better than a fully healthy Orlando Magic team? You think?
I actually always ask the questions that piss me off. You know that?
The villain.
Like, he know how to get under my skin.
That's fair. I think
that's definitely a fair question.
The Knicks are better offensively and they're better defensively. Like, right. I think they're in the 20s as far as offensive rating is concerned.
They are like, they don't have on them because we really haven't played a fully healthy Orlando team, so we don't know. Right. But look at all the teams, everything we have problem with, Orlando has that. The only thing they don't have they don't have the 3-point shooting because we can't defend the three for some reason. But everything else that we have problem with, Orlando has that as a strong point.
Yeah.
So they're long, they're athletic, they're aggressive, they play great defense, they do all that. They go after it like every time. But the only problem, like the only down when it comes to them is like they're not a great 3-point shooting team.
Or offensive team overall.
Right. I think we need to worry about Atlanta too. The way that we're playing. I don't think, like, if we've had them in a 7-game series right now, we'd probably lose.
I think there's a little recency bias because we coming off the 3 games.
Well, I said right. That's what I said right. Right this second.
Jerrell, I'm not. I know we lost to Atlanta. I'm not worried about them. I think we'd beat them in the 7-game series. I'm more worried about the Pacers in the 7-game series than Atlanta.
I'm actually more worried about Atlanta than the Pacers.
Nah, I think Atlanta is. Listen,
I would be more worried about Atlanta. The Pacers.
Yes.
The Pacers don't play defense either.
Yeah, but they play better offense than we do.
The Knicks have one of the best offenses in the entire league. I don't think they play better offense than we do. Not this rendition of the Indiana Pacers. The Knicks have
and plus I'm not, fully behind Tyrese Halliburton in the playoffs like Trae Young yet. Trae Young has proved that he can kick our ass in the playoffs already. We have no answer for Trae Young. We have never had an answer for him.
I don't know. For some reason, I'm not worried about the Hawks.
I just hope we don't play them. Let's just say that.
Well,
Jerrell, we're gonna have to play somebody.
Yeah, we gotta play somebody. You're right. That is true. We do gotta play somebody.
Give us a box straight to the finals. Why not?
We already named like 5 teams we can't beat the playoffs already.
Right.
We have to play somebody.
The good thing is we have a good 40 games to get it together. To improve. I mean, if we was having this conversation in the midst of the 9-game winning streak, I think this would probably have a different tone. I think that 3-game losing streak is kind of clouding us. I do think the Knicks are a good, solid team, one of the top teams in the NBA. Which it's just a rough patch right now because the shot is not falling. I think we'll be right there by the end of the season. Some of the stuff, though, to your point, Jerrell, I think it's just roster rotation, roster stuff that I'm not sure how we get past, particularly on the defensive end.
And it's not just the 3-game loser streak; it's who we lost to. Like the first game, of course, it was a good game as OKC, but you know the Bulls and the Magic. Like it's almost like OKC took our superpowers away. Like we just going downhill since that game. So those are two teams that we should have not lost to, especially that Orlando game.
Yeah, that was I was dozing off during that game because I had this bright idea that I was going to watch that game while sitting up in my bed. And so I dozed off multiple times. And then I woke up. I'm like, yo, we down 8?
Yep.
And what was my text to you at that point? Queen, are you watching that mess?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Queen, you want to go? We could hit the chat up real quick before you switch to another topic. Shout out to JJ, always rocking with us. Salute JJ. Lack of a bench and our up and down 3-point shooting plus a mediocre 3-point defense all concern me. Anybody on this? I mean, I it's right on.
The defense is improving though.
It is. That's true. It is improving.
And it really, I mean, if you look from a statistical standpoint, the defense is miles ahead of where it was 10 games into the season, let's just say. I'm not saying we're a lockdown world beater or anything, but the defense is improving. And the 3-point shooting is still pretty good overall.
I say we revisit that at the end of the month after we play some of the better teams.
Sure.
You know, so let's see where we at with that. East Blue Jew, shout out to East Blue Jew. Brunson shots are short because he's exhausted.
But why is he exhausted? He's playing the less minutes of anybody on the team. He's one of the most protected players on the team as far as minutes are concerned. I think he's playing 34, 35 minutes a game. Now we're talking about OG and Mikal Bridges and Hart. That's different. But Towns and Brunson, how many minutes are they playing?
They're still 25th and 31st in the league in minutes played. I mean, by comparison, they're not doing as much. I mean, all those other 3 guys are in the top 10, but and I think Bridges and Hart are like 1 and 2, and OG is 8. There's something like that. But I think injuries. We talked about this briefly beforehand. I mean, Brunson is 3 for his last 20 from 3, and over the last 9 games he's shooting like 14%. So I kind of feel like that calf injury, like he's tough and he's playing through it, and he knows how important he is to the team and everything like that. But I think that he's playing hurt, and I don't think he's getting the same lift on his jumper that he normally does when he's healthy, and I think that's why his shots are short. But I think that's a more plausible explanation to me than just that he's exhausted, because his minutes load is not like egregious for a starter.
Let's also mention he be missing free throws at the wrong time. he missed free throws when we need him. It's like, bro, come on, bro. It's a freebie.
They do be timely for some reason.
Oh,
the turnovers too.
Yep, the turnovers
got no turnovers, and then in the crunch time, 2 minutes to go, and he just kind of throws them, and you're like, Jalen, what are you doing?
Yeah, when we up by 20, he's sharp. But when the game when we down by 2, he turns more. I was like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, hey, man, that's our captain. He's missed the clutch, man. He's done it before. He can do it again. He's just off a little bit.
Shout out to East Blue Drew, 2 for 1. The second part, we really miss Deuce. Any update on Deuce's health?
Still questionable.
Nope.
Hamstring, right?
Yeah.
Lingering. You can never know like when the hamstring's good.
Yeah.
You know, you just got to give it time, and hopefully you give it enough time. But anyway, all right. So if anybody in the chat have any update on Deuce, please feel free to share. Shout out to David G. Definitely you don't have the same defensive grit from last year.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And it's not the same team from last year, so you can't expect the same thing. Right? I mean, this is a completely different team.
Yeah, but I just need a little. I don't want to say toughness because I don't believe this team is soft. I don't. But there's times I just feel like they need to dig deep. They need to dig a little deeper, grind it out. And I don't see that a lot. Like, all right, look like we're going to lose this game.
Who are the culprits, though?
Early fourth.
Who are you saying that about, though, specifically? Are you anybody specifically?
I think it's the entire team. Because I think there are times like in the Chicago game where you saw Cat like really digging deep.
Mm-hmm.
And there'll be games where you see Josh Hart really digging deep. And there's games when all of them have dug deep. But to me, that's far and few between. Like Orlando, Chicago.
To me, it's both Bridges and OG and Anunoby to me.
That they don't dig.
Yeah, both of them seem like they passive. When it get down to the nitty-gritty in the fourth quarter, I don't like that. From either one of them, they both look not soft, but timid sometimes.
Yeah.
Like like neither one of them take over a game like they're capable of.
Yeah.
All right. So shout out to David G. And I want to go back a little bit to East Blue Drew's. We really misinduced. And the reason why I go back to it is because Sherwin replied to that, says, dude, Orlando's missing their team.
Yeah, that's true. Can't argue that. That is true.
So we misinduced. They missing their team, and they beat us somehow. All right. So shout out to Sherman for that one. Andrew says, I like Shamit's defensive intensity, provide a lot of depth. But
yeah, I need that shot to start falling though.
Yeah, sure. and his defensive intensity, it is intense, but he ain't stopping nobody though. Like he's
what does that even mean?
No,
that's not nice.
Exactly. Moving his arms around. A lot of movement. He's going over the screen. He's doing all that, but he ain't stopping nobody right now. So I don't know if he's on the wrong guy or I don't know, but I do see the effort. The effort is there, but the result it's not producing anything yet. So keep up the intensity. Maybe at some point he's gonna be.
I understand what you mean though. Sometimes dudes look like they just be running around. They just hyper and fast, but they're not really doing anything.
Yeah, no, but he's trying, like, because I see him get over the screen like with, as Clyde would say, with gusto. You know what I'm saying? but he still gets scored on. So you know what I'm saying. So.
But I think, listen, for all of our players, all you can do is get in position, make it hard. Get in position. If they score over you, they score over you. But you got to be in position.
Yeah, sometimes just better offense. Sometimes the guy's just better.
Yeah, right. But I need that shot to start falling, Shamit.
Yeah.
All of the bench players, really. I think we had 14 points and 8 rebounds total from our bench against Toronto. The entire, all of them. No joke, and I'm not even being ironic. Look, you'll have to check me on it, but it was something ridiculous like that. They hardly produced at all, and I think half of that was Precious, who seems to be shooting the ball at a high efficiency and not doing much else when he's on the floor. I've been really
frustrated. What that high efficiency is. It must be from the outside the key because he cannot convert underneath that basket, and maybe. He could be converting at a high level. I'm just maybe putting too much emphasis on the times when he doesn't.
I think he's 10 of 18 from the last 2 games from the field, but in 20 points. I could be wrong about that, but it was odd to me because when I was doing my game recaps, I was like, it doesn't feel like he had a good impact on this game at all, and that he's in double-digit points, but he didn't really do much else. And I don't know. It's weird because it doesn't feel like Coach wants to play campaign very much these days. And
yes, I've noticed that.
And Landry's just not there yet. He's just not. I think he's going to be a good contributor, but he's just not he's not in the flow yet to me for some reason. And so I think he can get there. But I mean, again, even in a win and a blowout win, our contributions off the bench were sorely lacking against Toronto, and that's crazy.
Yeah. I'm wondering if Tibbs is just force-feeding Shamit's minutes in an attempt to to get him there, because there was one game where he had like 14 minutes. Well, it had to be in a game. I was about to say in a half. I doubt that. In a game, then everyone else had, I think Payne had 8, somebody else had 6. And I was like, wow. So I do notice that Payne's minutes are decreasing.
I agree.
I don't know if that means that Shamet's going to be playing behind Brunson as time goes on. I'm not sure what that means.
But I definitely do think Tibbs is playing Shamet because he was hurt in the beginning of the season, and he wants to get him acclimated with the rest of his teammates. He hasn't played with anybody on the team but Bridges and Campaign, right? So yeah, I think it's just a chemistry thing. Force feed him the minutes. I get it.
Okay. Shout out to JJ. Talking about Cat's injury. He said, I thought it was one knee, but he said knees last night.
Yep.
Given his injury history,
Yep.
right?
Because of the history. Like I understand that too. Like I would play. See, it's kind of hard to say that I would play Cat less because if he is available, we can't give him a minutes restriction because he's not injured. So I don't know how that'll work.
Nobody listening to me. I would play Cat a lot of minutes. I said, dude, let's drives. Slow down on the drives, all right?
How you gonna tell that man not to drive?
Pop some more threes from or go down low, bang bodies a little bit, but stop trying to drive the ball. Every time he drives, I'm like, okay, he's all right.
Yeah.
Bad landing, bad falling, bad stuff.
I get that part too.
Yeah. But I think he also has to stop playing the game like you 100%. Especially, you're not 100%. He's driving down the lane. I'm like,
yeah.
You sound like AJ. You sound like AJ. He's not supposed to drive, Steph.
No, what I'm saying, no, he should. I know.
It's the way that he's driving.
Period.
Like, cause I
just don't want him to drive right now while his knee is a little thin.
Okay.
Jerrell, I've been working on this all season long.
AJ got you. AJ got you. That's what it was. He got you on his side over there. That's what it was. He got you. He wore you down.
I've been working on that all season. She's getting there.
Yeah.
Nah, I thought yesterday he should have been more of a decoy. Like, just stay outside. Hit the 3, facilitate the offense. If you got a clear lane, okay, fine. But yeah.
I don't know. I think when you're playing not to get hurt is when you end up getting hurt even worse. Like if he's going to be out there, let him do his thing. I don't like if we're not getting. In other words, if he's not out there doing the things that he can do, then he's not doing everything he can to help the team win. So if he's well enough to be out there on the court, let him do his drives let him play his full game. If he can't play his full game, then he probably needs to not be playing.
He can shoot the 3. He can shoot the 3. So let him do what he can do. I agree with you, Geoff. Just let him shoot the 3. Let him post up. Like those teams don't have we played a bunch of teams that they have nobody that could guard him in the post.
That's a problem I'm having with this Knicks offense too.
Yep.
Not recognizing what the advantages are and going there. Yeah.
I didn't know if we was going to talk about have a Tibbs section.
We are.
We will. So this one so let me read this one from Cardiac Knicks. Shout out to Cardiac Knicks. It says it's time for Dolan to meddle in and order Tibbs to heavily expand his rotations or face termination. It just sounds good. It sounds like he's spitting bars. So right. I just want to throw that in there. Expand your rotation or face termination.
These guys, I mean, just notice what happens when the bench comes into the game. Just notice what happens. I think we'll get to the tip section.
Yeah, and this one is shout out to A-Train. That's a problem. We don't have a defensive identity when we have the best 2 defensive wings in the league. And I'm gonna add, when our coach is notorious for his defensive prowess. I agree with the statement that it kind of sucks that we don't have defensive identity with all that going in our direction defensively.
Has
Well,
McHale looked like one of the 2 best defensive wings in the league this year, though?
No.
I haven't seen that like in any game.
Well,
at all.
And Geoff, which is weird because you figure these 2 guys now you put them in under Tibbs, so like it's gonna extrapolate, like it's gonna be like these guys are gonna be like you cannot get by these guys.
Queen made a good point the other day, though. Tibbs' offensive resume as a coach has been much better than his defensive resume as coach going back to his days in Minnesota. I mean, check the records on that. I know he has a reputation as a defensive coach, but it's on the offensive side of the court that he's actually been much better, especially in his time with the Knicks.
Yeah, and you got to have play. The coach is not going to make you a good defensive player. Like you have to have players that can play defense. And this is not a great hand. This is not a great hand. I do think they could be better. But Bridges could do everything he can do on the and a guy slip past him. If he's not getting any help until he gets back into it's going to be a wrap. And that's what we're seeing from the Knicks. So I don't know if scheme needs to change. I think you just got to keep, as a coach, trying different things to find out what's the best defensive scheme for this particular team. I think Brunson's defense is average. I know people say he's a poor defensive player. I don't see that. Like when I watch him, I see him fighting over screens. I don't see him dying on screens. I see him moving his feet laterally, causing the offensive player to either pick up the ball or change directions. He's not a world beater, don't get me wrong, but he's not a turnstile either. Like he puts in that work on the on the offensive, on the defensive end. Some of it is just physically, it's just certain things he's just not going to be able to do because of his size. But yeah, I'm not sure with this particular bunch what's the expectation defensively. If we can get to 12, that would be fabulous. And hopefully we can, but I don't know if we have those pieces. I don't know.
Shout out to Cardiac Nick, who mentioned that Tibbs had Cat and Precious on flat for extended minutes, and it looked good. That depends on who we're playing. Sometimes it doesn't look good, and I agree. Like it does look good, but sometimes it just doesn't. Sometimes it's clunky, and sometimes, and Precious. I like Precious, but sometimes I don't know what he's doing out there. Like he's a little bit not helping.
I don't think that's the right link, Boogie. I'll send it to your DM. You might be in the game recap link.
Well, I'm gonna read Boogie before Boogie get here. Mm-hmm. The scary thing to the league is for us to get better. Every year trading deadline, Leon makes a move that allows us to take off in the second half. Stay tuned, everybody. Salute, 3 capital S's.
Yeah, I'm gonna get Boogie in here and ask
what move would he like to see, or does he think is gonna happen?
And what do we have to make it happen, and who's out there? I did watch the KFC KFS pod, with the list of potentially available names. I don't know.
And shout out to Bam 317. Welcome. I just found this channel. I just found this channel. I love it. So yeah.
Appreciate you. Hopefully you subscribed and you be here with us every week, every Thursday, unless the Knicks play.
Unless and put your notifications on, because we do have pop up. You know, when something goes like real left in Knick land, we have emergency podcasts and stuff like that. Or when good things happen, you know, trade out of the blue and stuff like that. But yeah. So and don't forget to hit the like button. I haven't checked the like to see how many likes against how many viewers. Oh, we have 34 likes, man. Let's get them likes up. I hope everybody on the panel had the likes.
Yeah,
look at Jerrell hitting it right now.
He hit it on the low. You see that? He tried to be slick about it too. I called him out.
I got it in.
Yeah. Oh boy. All right. So yeah, there you have it.
There go Bug.
There he is.
Whenever he's ready to come in.
Somebody let him in while I hit this like button.
There you go.
There we go. What's up, Boogie?
What's up, family? How y'all doing? Happy blessings
on,
to a new year to you all. Queen, is this your first show this year on Thursday?
No, I think we did last week.
We did last.
Y'all did last week?
We did last week, yeah.
Last Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. But happy New Year to everybody. Still, we celebrating. Every day is life. Shout out to everybody that's rocking and watching up under this beautiful, amazing content show. Shout out to my Uncle Rel, Adji, you know what I'm saying? And the great one himself, the captain. And shout out to the sis right there. And blessings to everybody that's rocking, man. I just wanted to come up here, and spread some, love with y'all. That's all. Because y'all giving out a lot of love, So I was like, second half, Step Show. Second half, matter of fact, I'm going to Step Show. But it's a good football game going on, though.
Yeah, I'm watching it.
Yes, we'll appreciate you. We appreciate you stopping by. Before we get to the next chat, if there is one, what do the Knicks have to make a move with, though? And who's out there? Well, there's always somebody that becomes available that we never thought would be available. But what do you think the Knicks have to give up? Or what would you be willing to give up? First of all, where do you see the need? Is it at center? Is it at power forward? Is it at small forward? Even point guard. I've heard some complaints that, that we need somebody better than Payne at point guard. And what assets do we have to make it happen?
Oh, you asking me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Oh, we got all types of access. Anything is on the table. I learned that, when they broke up the Nova Cats. I learned that.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So, I'm just waiting to hear what Leon's going to do. I think I was, mentioning that a little bit in the chat. I know trade time deadline is Leon time. I do know that. And he's not failed us since he's been here. I think he's taking a lot of heed to what needs to be going on with the squad and what he needs to do to balance everything out. Because I do know of a few years ago, I just say me, but I was one of the ones running around that was saying, yeah, we got the best bench it is in the league. So that with that being said, I think he turned it around and wanted to have pretty much a major starting five, which he has. Right, the leading scoring five it is in the league as starters, but it got off balance from the bench to the starters, from starters to the bench. So I think he needs to find that balance. What he's going to do, I don't know, but he has pieces and choices if he decides to more or less move along to make moves. I know Sims names as a topic. You got Precious. Still every now and then Mitch name lingers around. I even heard something with Kolek name. And then you have Cam. So, and then I think we do got a 25 first round draft pick, couple of second round picks. We got some things that, if he's going all the way in on this squad this year, and he feels like, yo, I need to do this and do that, I think Leon is going to go ahead and make the move, because he's already made major moves that show that he's really in for a championship run. But now we don't got a little bit off balance, and figuring out and watching what needs to be done. We need some more scoring off that bench. I've been one of the ones majorly saying, I don't know why we got this guy Ryan over here when TJ Warren is down there fully, completely healthy and in shape and getting buckets after buckets. Somebody that can get a bucket with, like 4 seconds left on the clock. If one of the guys who ain't supposed to pass the ball, pass it to one of these guys, because I've been saying Cam, Deuce, all them guys that come off the bench, them guys is more or less top of the shot clock, in the middle of the shot clock type guys. They're not late in the shot clock type guys. I know TJ Warren is a guy that, if he gets the ball and is late in the shot clock, he knows very much what to do. His first instinct would be look at the shot clock, and then his professional instincts would tell him what he need to do. He can get the mid-range, then he can hit the tray, he can take you off the dribble. So many things TJ can do. And so I'm just wondering, with his contract that you gave him, which is non-guaranteed, versus what do you have this guy that's in shape getting all these buckets versus this guy that's sitting on the bench just watching? So, but I look for the team to get another wing player, but somebody that can get buckets, somebody that can score the rock, because we need scoring off that bench. So that's where but Leon has many options that he can do, that he can choose from. If he decides he wants to make a major move, he's going to make a major move. If he just wants to fill in the blanks, he can go do that. But something is going to be done before February 6th.
Yeah. Shout out to Paul McWhite, because I think this is the issue with TJ. He would command too much money right now because of how long he's been in the league, his tenure. Got to wait until March to get him on a prorated salary, so that the Knicks are hard capped at that second apron. I think they only got like $580,000 left. And so he's a 10-year, I think he's 10-year vet. Yeah. So he makes a lot of money. So they have to wait. As the season goes on, the money that's owed him becomes less and less and less and less. Unless the Knicks make a trade. When we were talking before we went on, if they were able to trade Sims for just draft picks, that opens up space where you can now get TJ Warren in right now. So we shall see. We shall see. Someone in the chat made the point: are we looking for scoring on the bench, or are we looking for better defense?
Both. We need both.
Yeah. Yeah. I think. Yeah. We need both, but somebody that can get their own shot in that second unit, I think that's important. Deuce, Shamit, who else? Precious. Those are all guys that, for the most part, are at their best when somebody is setting them up.
Right.
So we shall see. I'm not sure if the Knicks do anything, Boogie. I'm hopeful, but I don't know.
It's a prop bet. Bet the house. I'm telling you that right now.
The house?
Bet the house. Right. Leon is going to do something. Bet the house.
But this is the thing, Boogie, too. It has to be somebody significant for Thibodeau to play them. Because you look at the bench now, you can argue that Precious can give you more minutes. Campaign can give you a little more minutes. Shamit can give you more minutes. Deuce gets 25 minutes when he's healthy. And he doesn't really play those guys. So I think, like, if you bringing in like you better bring in somebody significant that's going to command minutes. Otherwise, he's going to be sitting on the bench too.
Mm.
Well, I think you said it a little while ago. I did hear you say when you was talking about Shaman or something. You used the word force. You're forcing them.
Mm-hmm.
That's because nobody's down there. So then you're going to force guys to try to make them become something that you hope they can become.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So, but if you can look down there and see if it's a guy ready made that can come in and do some things, Tibbs can fall in love with those type guys. You know, I like Shaman's game, but it's just, you know, I think we're trying to make him become something that he's really not ready to become. You know, and now especially with Deuce down, you know, we never thought that Deuce would be coming here. You know, it was high praises after the first few games of the season with Deuce. You know, a lot of us we was talking about, you know, 6th man of the year. Oh man, Deuce don't good. He don't work on his game. He got his jumper and all. You know, Deuce showed us a lot. You know, and then now we got this lingering on injury. You know, I hope it becomes nothing less than a pull. You know, so he's getting his proper rest and everything. You know, hoping that pull just heals, where it doesn't turn out to be, you know, a stretch leading to a tear. So, but man, we got to have somebody on that bench. As long as we ain't got nobody that can get no buckets and nothing on that bench, the more them guys is going to keep staying in that game or get pushed hurry up back to that desk or check back in that game.
Yeah. I'm not as high on the Knicks assets as the rest of you, so we shall see. We shall see.
Queen, I wanted to let me put this up here. Is this are we really, shout out to Escape Artist too for saying this. Are the Knicks the highest scoring team in the league? Or do we have the highest scoring starting 5 in the league?
I know per 100 possessions, I believe we're 3rd. I don't know. I could check what we are points per game. I could check that.
I think we're definitely the highest starting 5.
Yeah. I think it was like somewhere like 96, 90, somewhere. It was somewhere close to 100.
Yeah, we was breaking records for the starting 5 scoring.
Yeah. So it's just the starting 5. It's not the team total. Because it goes down when you get to putting our bench in there. God almighty, it goes down.
Fall off a cliff.
Well,
the Knicks are 7th in terms of just total points per game.
Total points per game. Okay, so yes,
117.5. I could take out the bench though, and
does that factor in pace though too?
No, well,
that
Jeff,
doesn't. That's not pace.
That's not pace, but
total.
Yeah, we our starting 5 play more minutes, so yes, of course they're gonna score more. So this is another one of those stats that are like kind of half-assed. It really doesn't tell the whole story.
Yeah, they're number 1.
Yeah, right. So you know our starters play more minutes than everybody starters here. So of course we can score more points.
Well, it's not of course, because you got to be efficient. You could be you could have a lot of minutes and be a clunker if you're not efficient. You got to be efficient too. So they playing more minutes.
It's cute. I'm saying, but if more minutes, so most likely you're going to score more. And I understand you.
Minutes,
I hear you.
I think it's possessions. Like if you have more possessions, like you can have more minutes and shoot 30%. You're not going to score more points than somebody who's playing less minutes and they're shooting 50%. So I think it's also the fact that the Knicks starters are
efficient.
3rd in field goal percentage.
Mm-hmm.
These are the starters. Only 10th in 3-point percentage.
Yeah, but you got to think about the stretch that we've been on. Been terrible. Like we was way higher than that. Like last week.
Yeah. And as far as minutes are concerned, the starters played 2 more minutes than Sacramento. And to my point, well, they're not that bad. They're 3rd. They're third in points per game. The starters we're talking.
Mm-hmm.
Denver is second in points per game. Yeah. So those three, New York, Sacramento, and Denver, are 1, 2, 3 in minutes per game and points per game.
So that makes us number one in the East. So, well,
that's traditional. In terms of per 100 possessions, which I think puts everyone on an equal playing field, the Knicks are third.
Anyway you slice it, the offense is quite good.
Yeah, the defense is pretty much the problem.
Yeah. And obviously the offensive rating for the starters is number 1.
Not surprised.
And 93.3, and second Denver 86.8.
It's not close.
I'm about to say, do you have the offensive ratings for our bench?
Yeah, sure, I could do that.
0.
I could tell you right now, I'm putting my money on 30th. But
I'm about to say, remember, Steph, you asked me how many teams in the NBA. We was talking about the Giants' offense being so bad. Like, how many teams in the NFL? We the last one.
Right.
What you mean our offense is so bad? You ain't see us against the Colts?
Man. JB, I've been pissed.
Don't get him started on that. He almost
out.
walked off the show because AJ mentioned it pre-show.
I've been pissed for
The Knicks are 30.
2 weeks.
The Knicks bench is 30th.
Of course.
Yeah. Let me see where they are. Oh, but the Knicks bench has the best defensive rating in the league.
Uh-oh.
Is that right?
That's weird.
They don't do nothing now. Like, they don't play offense, so I would hope
do something, right?
Yeah, they better do something. They on the court to do something.
And the starters' defensive rating, no, I'm doing something wrong.
Nah, go ahead and say it. How bad is it?
Clear this filter, and I'm doing something wrong here.
How bad is it?
No, they were number 1. I knew that was something was wrong with that.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
The Knicks are 14th overall.
I say something wrong with your megabytes or whatever you got going on over there. You know our defense ain't number 1 in nothing.
And the starters are 30th in defensive rating.
So we're number 1 in offense and last in defense for the starters.
And the opposite for the bench.
And the opposite for the bench.
It's the strangest team of all time.
What it says, that was brilliant roster construction. Yeah, man.
I mean, listen, they made a bet in terms of giving up depth for a top heavy team. You know, hopefully with the, maybe with the hope that they'll be able to develop a bench or improve the bench over time. Like I said, we got to keep in mind, this is the first year of the Knicks window.
Right.
Championship teams are built over time, so they still got time to build this up, see how it works out, make changes, along the way. That's why they're trying not to lock themselves at the second apron to the point where they can't make any moves.
But if you think about it, it makes sense because we usually stagger one of Brunson or Cat out, and one of them stays in the lineup and the other one is out, and we're bringing in usually someone who's a plus defender, right? And so if you just have one defensive weak spot on the floor, especially with those other guys, it's pretty easy to cover. Well, not pretty easy, but you can cover up one bad defender or one mediocre defender as opposed to having to cover up for 2 like we are in our starting lineup, like all the time. It's really difficult, especially when you don't have any rim protection whatsoever to do that. But when, it seems like most of the guys that we bring in off the bench are pretty decent defenders, whether that be Campaign or Shamit's done a good job. Precious is as a decent defender, and certainly McBride has shown his chops from defense. So you're substituting a minus defender for a plus one, and so you know what I mean. It changes the entire dynamic of the team. So because we're not like most, we don't do hockey substitutions. We don't even do 9 guys. Most of the time it's 8, right? And so you're always having at least 2 starters with those bench guys. So those numbers aren't as deceptive as they might seem.
Right. Yeah. And I actually like that. Like the bench is not, we've had benches in the past where you could just run out 4 bench players and 1 starter. We don't have that type of bench. So I do like the way, 2 bench players, 3 starters, 3 bench players, 2 starters, mix them in with the, with the starters so that the drop off is not huge, when they're in the game. Anything else? What's the likelihood that they make a trade? I know Boogie already know. Book it. But for Boogie says book it. Geoff, what's your feeling? The likelihood?
Well, Boogie's my guy, and I'm always wrong about these things. So I'm going to say there's no way that we make a trade, and that way Boogie's prediction will come true. Because Jay Boogie's my guy. I love you, brother. We're gonna go that route.
Appreciate you, Captain. Appreciate you, man. Love you more, man.
Listen, basketball wise, it makes sense that it would make a trade, but I don't know if they have anything to make a trade with all 4. I mean, they're pretty skilled at front office, so you could probably I'm sure they're looking at every possibility, but listen, they have things to make a trade, but not a trade for what they really need. Like there's nobody out there. I don't think there's anybody out there for what they need that they could trade for, because we just don't have anything to offer. We don't have anything. Like, I read an article that, teams like, I think Houston was looking at Jericho Sims. What they're going to do with him?
What are you getting for Jericho Sims?
That's
what I'm trying to say about getting a needle mover.
Right.
How much does Cam Whitmore make a season?
Say that again, Geoff?
He's still on his rookie deal. And he fell back. I think he fell out of the lottery. Because a lot of us wonder why we didn't grab him. I think of that.
Is he a needle? Like he's a 2nd year, 3rd year player. Is he somebody you think Tibbs is going to play? Like, I just feel like if you're not getting somebody Tibbs is going to play, I think the Knicks are going to stay the way they are. Because I just don't think you're going to get a needle mover for Precious. Or who we were just talking about.
Sims.
Whitmore make 3.9 this year. But like Jay Boogie said, he's on his rookie contract.
Yeah. I would be shocked if the Knicks made a trade of significance, meaning somebody that was in the rotation.
My first instinct is to agree with you, Steph, but I see what Jay Boogie's saying, because Leon Rose has done it before, and he's done it multiple times. We didn't think the trades that we did was going to happen, and just out of thin air, they just said boop, and then we had OG, then another boop, we had Bridges, and then we got Cat. So, I wouldn't put it past him, but my instinct saying no. But if it happens, I would not be shocked, because Leon Rose has done an excellent job when it comes to stuff like that, like Boogie said.
Yeah. A Train said, wasn't Precious monetarily set up to be a trade piece? Yeah. I mean,
that makes sense. Yeah.
If you, I mean, they can re-sign him. But if you're not, are you're going to keep him and just let him go in the off season for nothing?
Sounds like a Giants move.
And he's also making $6 million. Are you getting a needle move at 6? And not only that, if you take Precious, now you got Sims backing up Towns.
Nope.
You know?
I'm keeping Precious by any means necessary if that's the case.
Yeah.
Or unless they both go together and we get somebody, you know what I'm saying? We get somebody that's better than both of them.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you thinking, Boogie?
Well, the second phase is if they don't make a trade, you can best believe they're gonna solidify both things that they're weak at. I know I'm one of the ones that always say, yo, don't touch that starting five. But if we're so far in front of everybody in that starting five and Mitch comes back and he's healthy and he's ready to go, then you have no choice because you didn't make a trade during the trade deadline to strengthen up your bench is to swap him and Josh out. You have no choice. Jesus. What that does is strengthens the defense on the starters and it strengthens the offense on the bench. That's if you're not making no move. I'm one of the ones I don't want to see the I don't want them to break up that starting five, but if we're hurting at 30th in defense and number one in scoring and as far as ratio, whatever was just mentioned, then something is going to have to be done because in the playoffs you have to get stops. You have to get stops, you know. So with Mitch in there, that's going to throw Cleveland getting away with it. Two bigs out there, they getting away with it. You know, I'm quite sure that I don't think it's nobody else. Boston might get just I think Tatum's still playing the 4. I think Horford went back to the bench and now Porzingis is the starter, something like that. But when you playing against something like that, you can rotate your starters. You know, you can get creative with it. But that's just my opinion that if there is no other move that's going to be made, then you have to solidify those two things. And the only way to solidify them is to put Josh Hart on the bench and let him, you know, be a scorer off the bench because we lack scoring and somebody that can really, really be a leader on that bench and put more defense in the starting rotation. And if you got Mitch, OG, and now Bridges, that's some wingspan that's some wingspan going across that basketball court. So, I mean, I know a lot of us might not want to hear that, but something is going to have to be done to get this team better in the second half.
Any concern in the playoffs about how Mitchell Robinson's guy can roam and make it difficult for Brunson and kind of make the offense not run as well, given that there's somebody in the dunker spot taking away the cuts and things of that sort? Do you think the defense, there will be so much better defensively that won't make much of a difference?
I'm waiting on the captain.
Oh no, that was for you.
Oh, I didn't know. I think it makes us better. Be honest with you. I think it makes us better. It makes us stronger, especially on the defensive end. It makes us strong. Can you just imagine, you know, if you miss a shot with Towns and Mitchell on the floor, you might as well start pedaling backwards on the other end. We're securing the board. Point blank. We're securing that. Now you're talking about if Towns is still up top and he's shooting, and much as Mitch loved to get offensive rebounds, you don't think he get ready to be crashing them boards with all the 3-point shots we taking? With OG, Bridges, and Towns, and Brunson, he's crashing the boards. Who's stopping him? Who's stopping him from crashing the boards now? You know, so but I think it'll work. It'll work out. I think it'll
that'll
work
be
out.
more a 3-point shooter. I think the space to drive and the other things he do probably won't
Right.
be there. But anybody else want to comment on that?
I think regardless, Mitch is playing with Cat whether he starts or not. Like they're going to have minutes together, so I mean I wouldn't put too much into it if he did start. But I see the problems with him starting, like Steph said. But they're going to play together regardless. Like Mitch is going to play at least what I would say almost 20 minutes a game when he first comes back. Probably a little bit more after that, hopefully. So they're going to be on the floor together. So the offense is going to be not stagnant, but the offense is going to take a hit regardless when Mitch plays.
Yeah, I do think the minutes they do play together, it's not necessarily whether they start or not. It's more about how many minutes
they play.
Are you breaking up that starting unit for?
Right. Yeah, because regardless of when Mitch comes in, the offense is going to take a hit, and regardless of who he's playing with, like it doesn't matter who else is on the floor, he can't score. Period.
It's not even the scoring; it's also moving the offense along. Like I was watching the Cleveland OKC game, which is a really good game last night. The ball went to Jarrett Allen. He hit Mobley for a dunk.
Right.
That ain't happening. You know, it would be, the other way around. Yeah, we shall see. We shall see. But I do think, he's going to play behind Towns, and he's going to play some minutes with Towns.
Yeah, Mitch has never been more than a 20-minute a game guy his whole career, really, anyway. So, I mean, it's going to take him a while to get back into basketball shape. We already know that. So, I think at first he's probably just going to see, whatever minutes Cat's not on the floor, and then, he'll ramp up a little bit. But I don't see the overlap between those being massive. Could be wrong, but I don't see it as being a massive overlap.
Yeah. Yeah. This is what I'll say about Josh Hart going to the bench. He's probably going to spend a lot of minutes with those starters as well. And in a way, I think we just rearranging chairs on the deck. So you take him out the starting lineup takes a hit. You put him in the bench with the idea that somehow he's going to activate those guys, and those guys are going to be better. He's going to be scoring the same points. He's just going to be doing it from the bench. So on the stats, it's going to look like, the bench is better. But it's this, to me, I don't really see much. I don't really see much difference. I guess you could say when he's out there won't be a significant drop off. From the bench, they'll be able to maybe hold the lead a little better with Josh Hart on that second unit. Josh Hart and Deuce. Okay. I think we underestimate how much he contributes to that starting unit and makes it go. I saw that firsthand when I was watching him the 2 games in Washington. Like he stirs the drink.
He has the ball in his hands a lot. Like a lot more than he did last year. At least to me. At least that's what it seems. I don't know the analytics about that, but he definitely looks like he handles the ball more, and they give him more freedom when it comes to the offense. Like he starts the offense sometimes.
And maybe Bridges, takes that role, in the starting unit.
That's who I thought. I didn't even cut you off, stuff, but at the beginning of the season, that's who I figured it would be. I thought Bridges was going to be the secondary ball handler after Brunson, but they gave that job to Josh Hart.
Yeah, but I think also part of the reason, and Geoff brought this up, is that it's harder to exploit Josh Hart if he has the ball in his hands than if he's playing off the ball. Right? You can't just take your center and put him on him and there not be any consequences, though that's been the case because the Knicks haven't taken advantage of it as much as they could and should. Yeah. What's this team's trajectory this season? I'm kind of taking the long view that, the Knicks are at the beginning of their window. Whether they make a trade or not, we really get a chance to see what this team needs. And if there needs to be some retooling in the offseason, I'm not getting too bent out of shape when we lose games, in a row. I'm kind of like wanting to see what we have over the course of a season, and I'll have a better sense at the end of the season the type of team we have. I'm not, if we get to the Eastern Conference Finals or the finals, that's great. If we don't, it's information about what we need. At least that's the tack I'm taking, how I'm approaching this game this year, because I don't really know who this team is right now. I don't think I'm gonna know until the end of the season. But kind of, how are you guys approaching this season? What's your expectations, and what's the trajectory of the team from what you've seen so far? Ajay, we'll start with you.
I mean, right now, to be honest, we have the third best record in the East, and league wise, I don't think we're probably maybe fourth or fifth, something like that. So we're right record wise, looks like we're one of the best teams in the league, right? But we are not in the same echelon, in the same level as certain teams, right? So, for instance, we're clearly not at Cleveland or Boston's level, or OKC. So, and I remember when we were going into the season, a lot of people were talking about like ECF or bust, or championship or bust. I don't think neither one of those is going to happen. I mean, it would take a lot of things have to fall our way in order for us to make the Eastern Conference Final at this point. And even worse for the finals. So we're setting ourselves up for failure if we think we're going to be doing better than last year's team. But right now, it looks like we're going to, at best, we could probably get to the same point we got last year, second round.
And that's from what you've seen thus far.
That's from what I see thus far. Not just because you got to remember, and as Knicks fans, we do that a lot. Like we only look at the Knicks. We don't look at the other teams. Yeah, we got better, but so did the other teams. The other teams got better also. Okay, so everybody moved up the ladder, and Cleveland happened to be one of those teams. We knew Boston was going to be a very excellent team. We just didn't know Cleveland was going to be that good. And right now they're looking pretty good. Cleveland. So
I will say though that the Knicks are a little behind in their development as a team, right? Boston is ahead. They've been together longer. Cleveland is ahead. They've been together longer. What we see now from the Knicks is probably not who the Knicks are going to be at Game 60 or Game 70. And then I will also say that they have plenty of teams who did great in the regular season and lost in the first and second round of the playoffs, because the playoffs is just a different animal in terms of being able to key in on a player or to be able to key in on your weaknesses. So as well as Cleveland is playing right now, there will be games where they won't be able to play two bigs because teams can just take advantage of it. But what they have in their favor is that they can put Mobley at the center. So they have adjustments that, that they can make. So my point is, I'm not getting too carried away with Cleveland right now to the playoff starts. They playing great. I give them that. But I've seen teams play great in the regular season, and like when you look at, like when I'm looking at our team, and to a lesser extent, Cleveland and any other teams, I'm thinking about what do you need to win a playoff game or to win a playoff series? Is this team constructed in such a way that they theoretically can do that? Right? And when you have the 14th or 15th ranked defense, that's that, you know, and I'm not saying it's impossible, but that's tough. You know, when you have two bigs, when one can't really handle the ball, teams can prey on that, you know, in the playoffs, you know. So I think the Knicks starting lineup is set up to be prolific in the playoffs because there's no weakness that that the other team can you know, prey on as it is right now. But the other side of the ball is a different, you know, is a different story for this Knicks team. We gotta get better.
I'll go next because Steph. After this, I'm gonna
Yes,
head out real quick.
We appreciate the extra time you gave us.
Extra time, like half an hour up here to talk about the Knicks. Yeah, I agree with you, Steph, when it comes to the long-term view. That's because that's just naturally how I think about everything in sports. I take one season at a time. I'm not the really, you know, the carryover guy. Like, I don't believe just because if we don't like reach the Eastern Conference Finals is a complete failure. I think because situations are different. What if we not run into the Pacers in the second round? What if we run into Boston in the second round? So if we don't beat Boston in the second round of the 7-game series, the whole season was a complete failure. I don't believe that. I just think it depends on who we're playing and how we lose if we do lose. But yeah, I think this is the beginning of not a short window, but a window that will at least expand to like at least 3 to 4 years to me. And
at least, yeah,
I shouldn't expect them to just win the championship soon as this roster was put together. That's not really, I don't know, that's not feasible to me. That's kind of weird. That doesn't really happen in team sports. Like, it usually takes a couple years, man. Like, teams always have to gel. They have to learn how to play together. And we just, you know, half of this roster is different than it was last year. So it's going to take some time. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but it is what it is. Like, you got to go through the lumps, man. You got to get it through the mud. That's how it works. There's no go gadget championships. You know what I'm saying? Like, all the teams that are good have been playing together for multiple years, and this is our first one. So it's kind of hard to say that we're going to beat Boston in a 7-game series. Now, I'm not saying that we can't, but just to, you know, us to be the favorite, no, that's not how it works. Like, we will have to beat them. And I'm not saying that we can't beat them, but we're going to have to beat them. Like, we're not going to be favored in a 7-game series with Boston or Cleveland this year.
Right. And shout out to David Elbire, not getting the notifications, but you know, he found us anyway. Super. He said Cavs have a bench, and I think that's the other thing that we have to ask ourselves: is it feasible, possible for the Knicks to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals with the bench the way it is, without a lot of bench support? I think that's a legitimate, question.
And their core players have been together for what, 3 or 4 years now, except for Donovan Mitchell, obviously. But this is his second year?
No, I think this is
third
his
year.
Third year. It's his third year. So look how long that they've been playing together. Like, they should be better than us. And they got a good coach over there too now.
Yeah.
So Kenny Atkinson has a lot to do with that too. So,
yeah,
not saying that we can't beat Cleveland. We're not going to be favored in a 7-game series against them.
Yeah.
And that, I'm out.
Appreciate you, Jerrell.
I'll see y'all next week. Everybody have a good night.
Jerrell.
Good luck tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you. I'll see y'all next week.
Yeah, appreciate you.
And Queen, when you look at league-wise, right, all the teams that that are better. Like I think, and I just check. I think we're Houston just passed us in the standings, like league wise. All those teams have a better bench than we do. I mean, we're still doing pretty good because our bench is so poor, and we still somehow manage to be top 5.
Right.
But that's a very serious weakness that we have there with the bench.
And so hence the question: is it possible for us? I mean, it is possible, but what are the chances that we make the Eastern Conference Final without a lot of bench support?
Yeah,
that depends on a lot of things. A lot of things have to go, in the right direction. One is, first thing first, we got to be healthy when it comes when we get to the playoff times.
Yes,
that's number one.
Mm-hmm.
That's top priority. And number two, depends on the seeding and everything. As far as can we get to the Eastern Conference or whatever, how far we can go. And number three, it depends on if you're going to make a move or not. If you don't make a move, we don't make a move and we stay with this, if we draw the bad playoff team, I think it's going to be another second round exit. And I don't like saying that, but I have to be honest and real. I would want and love to see this team get all the way to the Eastern Conference Final and make it a tough series, 6 games, 7 games. And if we was to lose to somebody like Boston,
right,
then I could say, then I can look forward for this whole team coming back. Everybody, the coaching staff and all the players, because now I can lean on and be saying that it was only 1 year together with all the moves that we made. But no moves that's being made and we don't get out of the second round, then I hate to say it, but they probably gonna look towards that seat. And wonder if Tom can get them guys there. Is that a solution, a scenario where we need to have somebody else that can see if they can get us further than a second round exit can't be nothing like 4-1. It can't be. You can't go against Boston and Cleveland in the second round and get up out of here something like 4-1. The hot seat going to get on. It's going to be on fire. That's the way I look at it. But it's a crucial turn. It's crucial time coming this playoffs with this squad. Now do we got the potential to beat these teams? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. But going out there and doing it is different. Like you spoke upon, you already know Boston. Boston is just trying to get to the playoffs. They feel like they can win on anybody's home floor. Cleveland, they got better through the X's and O's. Coach there. You know what I'm saying? They got better that way. This is why this game tomorrow night is so crucial for us. It means a lot. I know it means a lot to me because I know within this 2-week span, Cleveland, Boston, OKC, and us, that's 4 of the top 5 teams. Right now, the difference between those other 3 teams, besides them having a better record, is that all them teams so far won on their home court. OKC beat us on their home court. They beat Boston on their home court. They lost to Cleveland on their court. Cleveland won on their home court. Now we got OKC on our home court tomorrow. We have to win on our home court against OKC. We have to win. That's for me, Jay Boogie, to feel comfortable about our team because the other 2 teams have won on their floors. They said OKC, they won on their floor against two of the, you know what I'm saying, top 4 teams, but 2 of the top 3 teams that's in the East, you know. So, but then they got on the road and they just lost tonight in Cleveland. No, they lost yesterday in Cleveland. And I'm like, Steph, that was a great game. I watched that game too. And what I noticed more about, especially in the beginning, the referees let them play. Y'all go ahead, box, slug it out. And not one time I seen one of their bigs going arguing, talking to the referees. But I'll tell you, if Towns would have been in that game, he'd have been like, yo, the foul, the foul, the foul.
Boogie, you didn't watch the Knicks game? Because it happened the same time as the Knicks game.
No, I know that, but I'm just saying, and watching that OKC game, them bigs was not crying about nothing. They won't say nothing to the refs. It is what it is. So Towns got to grow up in that area. But tomorrow's a crucial far as me feeling good about us being amongst those 3 teams that right now they are playing elite regular season basketball. We got to win on for Boogie. We got to win on our floor tomorrow for me to feel good about being in the same realm with those guys. Okay, now I don't split with OKC. I blew a game really against OKC. I blew a game really against Cleveland, but the game I blew against Cleveland was really on our floor. I ain't even been to Cleveland yet, but at least I straightened my face in Cleveland. I straightened my face against OKC. I do have a chance to go to Cleveland and split with them. I do got Boston coming here in February. I need to straighten my face. Protect the home court. We got to be able to protect the home court. You can't protect the home court. You can't win a series.
Well, case in point, though, do you think the Knicks are as good as Boston, OK, and Cleveland?
At this moment, not right now.
And that's the point I'm making.
No, I'm not even gonna say that. Not right now. No. Let me just
say not.
Yeah,
and this is what I'm hearing in the fan base. One part is the Knicks are not as good as those teams. And then the other part getting super upset when the Knicks lose to those teams. Mm-hmm. And the Knicks need to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and the Knicks need to get to the final. The Knicks are not as good as those teams right now anyway. And they have better benches than the Knicks. The starters have better support than the Knicks. They have a better all 3 of those teams are better defensive teams than the Knicks. They're just better than the Knicks. So we could talk about, Tom Thibodeau needs to get milk out of a stone. Those teams are just better. Now, I do feel the Knicks leave a lot on the bone. Don't get me wrong. That they don't take advantage of mismatches and things like that. That does happen. The Knicks, in my opinion, are just not there yet. Mm-hmm. They're just not there yet. I think the Knicks need more help. The Knicks need a 25-minute a game scorer off the bench that is a starter but's on the bench.
Queen.
That's what they need.
Yeah, we need that and then some. Listen, we need better defense. Listen, so Oklahoma City, you see how well they're playing right now? Chet Holmgren's not even on the team right now. And their bench, they have a superb bench. Their bench is better than some starting lineups in the NBA right now. That team. They're in an excellent position. They don't have a cap. They have a ton of picks. They're in a really, really good position right now. That organization.
Yeah. The Knicks have some
a lot of work.
I don't know about a lot, but they got some work. They got some work to do.
Yeah, we're close. We're close. We're very close now. Just Leon got to push the right buttons. And those buttons he pushed had to, fulfill those blanks that we got.
Right.
Don't come to me talking about no Clarkson.
Well, he would be better than anybody we have coming off the bench right now as far as scoring is concerned. I'm not pushing. I'm not pounding the table for Clarkson myself. It's going to be interesting. If the Knicks, in my opinion, need a scoring wing that can score and play defense, and every team in the league needs that. every team in the league wants a scoring 3-and-D wing, and we need a backup 5 that's reliable. We talking about Mitch coming back. We don't even know when he does come back whether or not he's going to hold up, how many minutes he's going to play. I think we're putting a lot on Mitch coming back. And that's, to me, is a crapshoot, 50-50. So we'll see. We'll see. Geoff has been quiet. What's your thoughts, Geoff?
Well, it's a long season. And Tom, I don't have a crystal ball. If I make predictions, they're invariably wrong, I know, but the only thing that I can go by is history. And what history tells us is this: Tom Thibodeau coach teams get better as the season progresses. That is a historical fact. They almost always play their best ball in March and April leading into the playoffs. If this team can stay healthy, big if, but if we can get our 5 starters to the finish line and be in the top 6, I'm giving us a puncher's chance against anybody. And do I think that's completely out of the question? No. I never think it wise when we've lost 3 of our last 4 games to talk about how we're going to do in the playoffs, just like I don't think it's wise when we're in the middle of an 8-game winning streak to say, so I think there's a little bit of a negative push with this team right now. And it is what it is. I understand it. We definitely have weaknesses, but every team in the league has weaknesses. So you just have to, you have to play through them and you do the best you can to survive the season for what it is. And it's a marathon. And right now through 38 games, we're 25-13. That's a good start. We're gonna find out a lot about our team. And David Elbire, yes, top 4 would be better because that's home court in the first round. Thank you for correcting me. That's exactly right. But in my mind, I was just thinking not having to go through the play-in situation at all. But I think that we'll find out more about this team this week and in the coming weeks ahead. I think there's a lot of fight in this team. I think they have a lot of attributes that are conducive to winning basketball. And we're a work in progress, but
for sure.
Every team is going through ups and downs in their season. And you may say that we've only beaten bad teams, but hey, we've beaten the bad teams that have come in front of us for the most part. You can only beat the teams that are in front of you. And if we're here where we're at now, let's see where we are in another 30, 40 games. I mean, it's so tough to predict, and it's such a roller coaster. Like this season is so tough on everybody. And I mean, even tomorrow we're saying we need to get a win tomorrow. Well, if Karl Anthony Towns doesn't play tomorrow, are you expecting us to beat a fully loaded OKC team? Like, I don't think that's reasonable. So context obviously matters also, right? And so let's continue to grind. Let's get 4-2 in this stretch where we're spending a lot of time in the New York metro area, not having to travel much. We're kind of blessed with that kind of a schedule right now, and go from there. I mean, it is what it is, but I have a lot of faith in this team, and maybe it's because I don't have anything else to root for, but I'm gonna hold on to hope with this team until they give me reason to prove otherwise. But I honestly feel like the best days are ahead for this team. I think you're going to see us start to win more of those games against the better teams. I think our starting 5 is dynamic and it's fun, and it's one of those that is, you know, very rare to see that kind of talent and synergy in one starting lineup, and that could carry you a long way if you can get to the playoffs with all of them being healthy, and that's gonna be the thing. And Queen, you made a good point. This is year one of our window. We're just opening the window, and so, you know, we want to get to, you know, Eastern Conference Finals or bust. I think I even said that to start the year. I definitely, those are our goals. That's what we want to do. But, you know, progression is not always linear. Sometimes you lose in the first round, and it's that pain of that loss in the first round that catapults you the next season into bigger things. And it may take an off season to figure out the depth piece that we're missing this year that allows us to navigate a regular season better, so we're better equipped for the playoffs. You know, we've been very healthy with our starters, but we've missed a ton of time on our bench. Between Mitch hasn't played at all. We missed Precious for at least 20 games. We haven't seen Deuce McBride quite a bit. So, you know, there are ways for this team to improve it internally, and I think that our best days are ahead of us and not behind us.
Yeah, well, for sure, I definitely agree with that. And, you know, as far as the bench is concerned, we're gonna bring something in, or we're gonna have to develop the players that we do have. You know, they're gonna have to get better, and to me, that means Tom has to probably lean on them a little more, give them a little more rope. Fat chance that happens though, but you know, that's if we don't make a move, that's the only thing I you know, I see. You know, all right. Last time around with the chat before we out of here.
Yeah, a couple of not too many of them, but shout out to otherwise the balance is defense, not offense. We already have a top defense. We was
Offense.
yeah, I'm sorry, we already have top offense. We was up 14 on OKC and couldn't hold it. Well, I mean, listen, we couldn't hold it for defense, but also for on offense, because we couldn't hit shots at some point in the game. So it's not that we couldn't get a stop. We also couldn't score at that point, and that's how they caught up and got ahead. So at some point during the game, like our offense falters a little bit, you know, and you know, of course, we can't stop anybody, and that's been the case all season. You know, when it comes to our defense, right? We need TJ. We need Marcus Moore. Any your thought on Mook? Queen, I know you're not feeling him. He's too old.
But, no, he's all right. He's okay. He's okay. I don't like him at the 3. I don't think he's a 3.
No, he's a 4
he's
though.
4 undersized 5 at this point in his career, but I'm not mad at it. I don't think he would play much either. Like I think he would be a break glass type of player as well. You got to bring somebody in that Tom Thibodeau is going to be like, okay, that Tom Thibodeau is going to meet at the airport like he did with Josh Hart and drive him to the game. That's who you need.
It's too late in the season for guys for guys that are not even on a team to come be on a team and make an impact. Them guys is at home all season long. They ain't playing. They ain't nowhere. They ain't getting no run nowhere. So I mean, Mook, I don't think he can help us at all. You know, I would have thought like for number one, you got to be a Tom type player. You know, they're not trading for nobody that's not going to fit and rock out with Tom's type skills. Everybody that comes over, that's been over here, came over here, they fit Tom's system. So it's one player that I thought would have really, really fit in Tom's system, and they ain't even give him a call. He's not even playing nowhere, and that was Thaddeus Young. But that's at the beginning of the season. You know, if these guys is not nowhere on a roster, they're not coming on nobody's team unless teams got major injuries and guys is done for the season.
Yeah, I agree. Because the players we have, they're not terrible, but Tom is not seeing, obviously what he needs to see, and their minutes are capped: 6 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes.
Shout out to East Blue Drew, say playing Sims over Ariel Hawk Porty is malpractice. I don't care. What? I know. Listen, I know starting him over Hawk Porty is probably. I don't know that game. I really felt we could have started the rookie and get better results.
Listen, Sims is not great on offense. That you just got to know what you can and cannot do with him. But he knows where he's supposed to be on the defensive. And if you limit him to just dribble handoffs, let him rebound, play the screen and roll, just limit him to what he can do, he's going to be fine. Porty is a wild card. He's going to get you some counting stats, but is he at a place where he's going to be where he's supposed to be on every possession? That's important.
Sure, Queen. You talking that mess about Sims gonna be fine when Jerrell's not here. don't talk that nonsense when Jerrell is here.
I'm not a Sims guy neither. You heard him the other night. We know he's athletic and everything. You heard the announcers the other night. Hey, what is he doing? He's bringing the ball up court. They won't saying because he got skills. They were saying that like, yo, get the ball out of his head.
And Jay Boogie, they were also saying, what are you doing? You under the basket? Why are you passing the ball? He's under the basket. He's trying to get rid of the ball instead of going up and try to put it through the hoops. So.
Yo, shout out for Sims, man, being in the league, man.
You muted, yeah.
I said I would rather see Precious for 38 minutes than see Sims get another start. That's just where I'm at. Like if Cat can't play, Precious, you're in till your legs fall off. Like I'm at that point. I don't want to see Sims on the floor. I don't really want to see Huck Porty on the floor. I think Huck Porty is going to be good eventually, but there are just too many times where he doesn't see the professional game the way he's supposed to, and he gets lost like any other rookie does. And so, you can probably get away with that for a few stretches, but if we're having to play any of those three guys major minutes, we're in massive trouble.
And Sims get lost like any other rookie does. The problem is he's not a rookie.
On the defensive end, I think offensively he is an adventure when you give him the ball. But defensively, in terms of how he plays the pick and roll, and in terms of being where he's supposed to be, he's where he's supposed to be. I'm not a big Sims fan.
No, you're starting to sound like one right now, Queen. I'm gonna have to I have to do a little montage. I have to do like a little remix of Sims, not low lights for you.
It's just that in my experience, coaching, I would rather a guy who knows where, or girl, who knows where they're supposed to be and they're hitting the spots, even though they're not somebody who's going to contribute in terms of counting stats. They're not messing up what you're trying to do. They're where they're supposed to be. As opposed to you having somebody else at the end of the night, they got 8 points and they got 5 rebounds, but they was never where they were supposed to be. I shouldn't say never, that they made mistakes and put a lot of pressure on the rest of the team by not being where they're supposed to be. And I think that's what Tom is thinking. You're not going to get a lot of counting stats from scoring from Jericho Sims, but defensively, he's going to be solid. Pick and roll, he's going to be solid. He's going to get you, a few rebounds. Just don't pass him the ball. I mean, it's as simple as that. Just don't pass him the ball.
Yeah. Tom is done, way gone and past, the trying to figure out if you got it or not. Tom is not waiting on nobody. He's past some stages. And I think really we need to stop even thinking about developing. Tom is not into developing nothing right now. If you ain't got it, you ain't got it. Because if he was, all our youth wouldn't be gone. They wouldn't be gone. All our youth is gone. Everybody. Everybody's gone. The Grimes, the IQs, the RJs. Who else is gone? So some more. Toppins. All our youth was gone. Whatever he might have been developing or trying to get right, he's not wasting his time on developing these guys right here. He wants a championship too, right? What, he got a 2-year, 3-year extension? He ain't got time to be trying to bring nobody else along. If you ain't got it already, you're not going on that floor for a long period of time. That's the way I've been looking at it all season. I've been looking at that all season. If you ain't got it, you're not spending a lot of time on that floor.
But I don't think you have to be on the floor to develop either. I think part of what worked well with McBride, for example, is that we didn't just throw him out there, for 35 minutes a game, Kevin Knox style. You can do a lot of development by playing in the G League. And I think some of these guys, Kolek and Huckporty, I think they eventually will be rotation NBA players. Just because they're not that now doesn't mean that they're a waste of space in your organization. You can develop good practice habits. You can see them developing in the G League. You can see, and that doesn't mean that they're ready to be thrown out onto a high level playoff team for major minutes. I think both of those things can be true at the same time, because I make the argument that almost every player that's here has developed under Tom Thibodeau in a positive fashion.
Mm-hmm. You're right. You're 100%. A lot of people's development. Hardenstein, he got a big money check up on him. I'm not saying he can't develop him, but I'm talking about the time span, the window. This is what I'm talking about. Are they ready right now? Can you help right now? Because it's not showing that he's willing to keep them guys out there for a long period of time to even get these guys rest, proper rest. I wish I could remember the person's name. I would shout him out. But somebody just said the other day when I was in a Twitter space that as of right now, Brunson has played at least 7 minutes more than some of these average point guards. 7 games more. As far as all the minutes he's playing. So that tells me these guys is not really keeping these guys, giving these guys breaks. And they're not using everybody. Is that because he know they're not ready? We know they're not ready, but that just tells me he's not trying to develop them guys right now. Now, can they learn on the bench? Yeah, they can learn on the bench. Can they be productive players later on in life? Yeah, they can be that. Yeah, I believe that. But right now, as far as that window, all the moves and access we don't trade it and the moves we don't made and what the office probably looking at and want to have a championship and everything. If you ain't ready, I don't think you're just going out there. And so far, at the beginning of the season, look at Kolek. We all feel like Kolek can play. We all feel like that. I feel like, I don't know the situation as far as the contract and all that, as far as the money-wise with TJ Warren, but I just feel like Kolek can be a better access to this team than what Cam can be, you know what I'm saying? And TJ Warren can be a better access. I like Kolek and TJ Warren better than I like pretty much Cam and Ryan on this team. But they see differently. You know what I mean? He can't get the offense going like Cam. He can't, they want to switch up the pace. Kolek's pace is too much compared to Brunson's pace. But it's a different pace when Brunson go out the game and Cam comes in the game. It's different things that they looking at. But I like to see some of these guys get a chance, but them guys looking at it something totally different, man. They want a deep run as far as heading towards the championship.
The Knicks aren't doing anything different. I know we look at OKC. There are some teams who play their rookies. You also some championship contending teams, right? Because if you're not championship contending, I would think that you are playing your rookies to try to develop them. There are some championship contending teams that play rookies, but how many rookies is Cleveland playing? How many rookies are Boston playing? So we find one team, OKC, that's playing rookies, and now that's what Tibbs should be doing. No, he shouldn't. I'm happy that the Knicks have those players on the back end of their roster. They can develop in practice, they can develop in the G League, and hopefully they'll be in the rotation in a year or two. When you're a championship contending team, most times you're not playing rookies. Now, you might have one in your rotation, but you're not having 2 and 3 rookies in your rotation. And you're not focusing on, I need to give them game time so they can develop down the line. This is down the line. We was talking about that with Quick in them. We got to get them in so that when we come championship contenders now. We already down the line. So listen, those guys, when they're injuries, they're going to come in and they're going to help. And they've done that already. Kolek has helped already in spot minutes. Daddy A has helped already in spot minutes. Huck Porty has helped already in spot minutes. I'm not even thinking about the rookies when I think about the bench. I'm thinking about, is there more we can get out of Deuce? Is there more we can get out of Shamit? Is there more we can get out of Payne? Is there more we can get out of Precious? That's what I'm thinking. Those guys are playing 8 and 9 minutes. So we're skipping over them and we're talking about the rookies. No, how about expanding Precious minutes? How about expanding Payne's minutes? How about expanding Deuce minutes and Shamit's minutes to try to buy our guys some time so that they're a little fresher in the fourth quarter? That's where I'm at. The rookies, to me, is not even part of the equation when your actual bench is getting 8 to 10 minutes a game. So, and I know somebody in the chat said, well, if you're not going to play them, why don't you trade them for vets? No, you got to have young talent at the end of your bench that you are developing for down the line. Jovic from Miami, he's just playing. He was drafted, 3 years ago? 2 or 3 years ago. He's just now getting regular minutes due to injuries and Butler, being suspended. You look all up and down the NBA, there's young players who were drafted 2 and 3 years ago that are just now, getting time. So let's not act like Tom Thibodeau is doing something that other teams aren't doing just because we're not doing what OKC is doing.
Shout out to A-Train, says, does Deuce really have a hamstring injury or is a trade in the works?
He has a hamstring injury. There may be a trade in the works, but look, the Knicks definitely want him on the floor if he can go. And he's one of those guys who doesn't make a lot of money. And so, you're probably not going to get commensurate value back for what you're giving out for him because he's got a small contract and he provides a lot of value. So, if you're talking about adding his salary in with somebody else's, like a 3-for-1 kind of a trade or a 2-for-1 kind of a trade, I could see that happening. But again, if you're trading out multiples to get one back, in a way, you're thinning that bench even more, especially if one of the guys that you're trading is a 25-minute game guy already when he's healthy.
Yeah. And I mean, I've talked about this before. I agree with you. I don't think McBride has the value by himself to get you the player that you need. But in my opinion, he's the best asset the Knicks have. I think he's a better asset, and that meaning teams would want him, in my opinion, over a Mitch, over a Precious, in my opinion. But because of the salary, if you are going to trade him, you would have to put him with a Mitch or a Precious. To me, that's the only way you get in a player of I'll be shocked if the Knicks are able to trade Mitch alone and get a bench player that Tom Thibodeau would play. I would be shocked if he has that type of value. I'd be happy but I would be shocked. And the same for Precious. If you would be able to trade him for a player that Tom Thibodeau would put in the rotation.
Speaking of bench, David L. Bias says we definitely need a scorer off the bench like Dante. And I think we all knew that. That's why, when that trade happened, most people were, those who didn't like the trade. It's not the cat coming in and Randall going out. It's more like losing that guy coming off the bench.
It looks like that Pistons pick's going to convert. That we sent out that first rounder. The way they've been playing.
Which is great.
For Minnesota.
Yeah. Julian Blum, like that, says, I disagree. I think we are better than Cleveland and OKC. It was second half decision that hindered us from winning those games.
All right. Listen.
Hey, real quick, let me shout out to Julian Blum. He don't edit, like 3 videos of mine. Shout out to him for, for what he does. If you need photographer work, editing, stuff like that, Julian Blum, that's the guy you can go and holler at, and get some things done. So let me just make sure I give him his proper, respect for what he does in the community. Not seeing much on the scene much because of his work ethic, but when he's inside that office and doing videos and audio and everything, he's like that.
And shout out to Julian Blum for saying we better than Cleveland and OKC. How about that? I like the confidence. I like the positivity and the love for the Knicks.
Well, Julian Blum, let me know how I can reach out to you, because I am definitely thinking of doing another channel, an education channel, a mental health channel, and I was definitely thinking that I need somebody to edit videos, logo upgrade. I don't know if you do logos and what have you, but yeah,
they do all that. His brother, they do a lot of things.
I would definitely be interested in that. Julian,
I'll make sure I send you his information. I just text him and let him know that I send over his information. I'm quite sure he'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I would definitely appreciate that.
Knicks 100 AGM. We're not beating nobody but the Bucks or Heat. I don't think Knicks 100 GM. I don't think Knicks really think we're doing anything good out there. If we are, if please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see there's not a lot of positive coming out of Knicks 100 GM. And shout out to you. I mean, that's
because we're winning against teams whose record isn't that great or whose best players were injured. So he's not a believer in the Knicks record right now.
Yeah, he's not a believer in the Knicks, period.
That's why I say it's important for us to win on our home floor come tomorrow. And I think Adji might have mentioned it. Houston is in front of us. They're the 4th best ranked team. It is. We did lose to Houston on their floor. These teams that we lost to, we have lost to them on their floor. And the only difference is between Cleveland and the rest of them is Cleveland beat us on our home floor. So, like I said, tomorrow, I'm really, really excited and really looking forward to this game tomorrow, especially just losing to them in Oklahoma and really blowing a game that you really you could have won, just blowing it away. It's 2 things. If you ain't shooting good, you better be able to get stops. But when both of them is going on, oh man, that's a disaster. And we didn't shoot good going down the stretch, and we didn't stop nothing. Wiggins showed me something the other night that he's playing. I thought it was really just against us, but he was playing against Cleveland. They young guys that they got. That's all they got is young guys. They draft all them guys. Ain't nobody going to OKC right now. But now they might want to go with Diaz because he's over there. Somebody might want to go feel like they might be the missing piece. But the question is, do they want anybody? I don't think they want anybody to come over there. You know what I'm saying? They get in the way of them guys. And like we said, check, he's out. You know, they got Hardenstein. You got Williams. You know, they got a nice team over there. Are they experienced in series to win it? I don't know. But I do like us in some series. I do like us. It's gonna be hard to beat the Knicks four times. And like Captain said, especially if we're healthy, it's gonna be hard. We're a tough outing. If we're healthy, no matter how we playing now, if we're healthy, seeing us and beating us four times in a series, it's gonna be tough, especially if you can't score. One thing about that starting five, they can score. Four guys can go off and score 22 points or better. And the other guy I didn't mention can go off that same night and have a triple-double.
Yeah.
Please.
David Elbaya says, we need a bench, period. Starting five is set. Don't disagree. D. Grant says, Knicks may have to trade a starter to get a bench player. Maybe Deuce McBride or Jerrell Sims for a good scorer that comes off the bench. And right after that, shout out to Wiz BKLA says Kessler for Trey Murphy. So I don't know if
and
Kessler,
Trey Murphy the third. Listen,
right. I don't know. I don't know if Kessler is saying trade Deuce and Sims for Kessler and Trey Murphy. You know, you're not gonna get that. First of all, I don't. Kessler is in Utah. Trey Murphy is in
New
the
Orleans.
Pels. So I don't know, but anyway, it's just interesting that when we talking trade right after Deuce, that Wiz BKLA is kind of jumping on the bandwagon of trading Deuce. But shout out to Wiz BKLA. Yo, Wiz, if Wiz, you out in LA, man, like, you know, with all them fires out there, man, I hope everything is A-OK.
Yeah.
Amen.
So,
yeah.
Shout out to East Blue Juice says the rookies just won a G League championship and they still not ready. Like, how you not trusting them? You drafted them.
Can we relax? They won a G League championship. Like that doesn't mean you're ready to it doesn't mean you're not ready, but that doesn't automatically mean you're ready to be part of an NBA rotation. And when you draft them to put them in your system so that they get better over time. You're not drafting them to put them right in the game. This is 5 years ago when we had that young core. If you want to make that argument, that's different. Not on this particular team. The Knicks drafted them because they like them and they see them as being a part of their rotation at some point. At some point.
Last but not least, Escape Artist said McBride was long ready before he finally got his chance this year. He didn't finally get his chance this year because he played significant minutes last season.
Good playoff minutes, by the way. That's when I really became high on him. Is he performed in that Philly series a couple times, had some really nice games, and was good down the stretch of that season too. But his first and second year, he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat.
Right. So I don't think he was ready the first, second year.
That's gay. He said he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. I had to shoot some bricks.
Sorry, Wiz. I know that's your boy. Don't
It.
take that like back, Wiz.
We got 114 people watching, 71 likes. So if you could do us a favor and just hit that like button, we appreciate it.
On the way out. And tomorrow prediction, I think the Knicks will beat OKC. I hope, especially if Karl Anthony Towns' knees hold up, we will be fine. We should have beat him the last game, but, like somebody mentioned, fourth quarter didn't go our way, but otherwise we played an excellent game. And I expect us to do the same tomorrow and make the adjustments necessary to beat him.
Full 48 tomorrow.
Full 48.
And if they putting a small on Cat, I want to see the Knicks take advantage of that. They putting a big on Josh, I want to see the Knicks taking advantage of that.
Yeah.
Make sure y'all give Hardenstein that warm coming back to New York welcome.
A Bronx cheer? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Any last words?
Jay Boog, thanks for joining us tonight. I love it when you get a chance to come on. I love your energy and your spirit, brother. It just lifts all of us up, and so I appreciate that. Salute to Ajay and you, Queen. It doesn't happen without you. So, and most of all, the chat was on fire tonight. Great show, y'all.
Absolutely.
Your discourse was what made it happen. So thank y'all.
Definitely appreciate the chat.
Shout out to everybody in the chat, man.
And shout out to Wiz BKLA. Appreciate the wishes. I am safe. Do not trade Deuce. Any last words for you, Boogie?
You got some tickets out there for somebody coming out that way. You know we got LA back to back, out there. But we was putting together a trip, and we just outbidded Miami over LA because it's a little bit less expensive. You can get some things going. You can get some tickets and stuff going on out there in Miami right now, especially without the wild guitar beer drinker ain't playing. He don't want to be there no more. But yeah, as usual, great content, great show. You know what I'm saying? Each and every time, not some of the time, but every time Steph open up the doors, you know what I'm saying? You hear that subscribe, you know what I'm saying? Appreciate everybody coming along, and being participants inside the chats, conversating, asking questions. But make sure you hit that like button on the way out and subscribe if you haven't been subscribed. And make sure you share the content. And if you missed it, you know what I'm saying, and you came in, you're a late arrival, go back and watch the replay, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Adji and shout out to the captains. Shout out to Uncle Rel. Don't worry about Uncle Rel. I'm a Giants guy, too. We're going to figure it out sooner or later, you know what I'm saying? If I could get through the trash bags over our heads with the Knicks, I could get through anything going with the Giants, man. But let's get a victory tomorrow and show these guys, you know what I'm saying, what it is to be in the city tomorrow night on our home floor and handle our business, and take care of what we need to take care of. Everybody have a great evening. Salute, salute, salute. 3 capital S's.
Yep. Shout out to the chat. It's kind of late. I can't shout everybody out, but David G, Knicks 100 at GM. Sharon was in the building. Wiz on Dios N1K. Appreciate you. Mike Boy, Kerry Cox, JJ, Keith Turner, East Blue Drew, and the rest of you. I appreciate you all for rocking with us. I'll be back Monday on the Queen's Court on Nothing But Knicks channel. We might be emergency stream, depending on how it goes tomorrow. I might get on the phone with Ajay and be like, "You want to go on Saturday and talk about this? Talk about this game." So
depends
keep
on how the game goes tomorrow. Yeah,
we might have on Saturday.
Queen, shout out to everybody in LA, man. If you out there, be safe. That Lakers game was postponed tonight, because of all the stuff going around there. And if you out here on the East Coast, stay warm because it's crazy out here. It's frigid and windy.
Yeah.
We even got snow in Texas, Ajay.
Yeah, snow in Jesus. Everything's upside down, bro. So yeah, stay warm in Texas.
They go crazy in Carolina when they mention snow. Man, everything is shut down, closed, or they
did have some snow though. They did have plenty of snow though.
Man, there's about 5,000 people at every grocery store tonight. For 1 inch, maybe.
Yeah. I appreciate you. I know we had someone trying to call in, but it's already almost 12 o'clock, and I got an early day. I have a day off, but I want to sleep in tomorrow, so I cannot wait to get to sleep tonight. So I'll be sure to open the phone lines on the next show. I'd be forgetting, quite frankly. But Boogie, Ajay, Geoff, Jerrell, the chat, the replay gang, all the subscribers, I appreciate you guys for making this channel go. Until next time.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?